Now, I don't know if it's just because I've been, living in my truth for about 34 years. And I done been called gay, called punk, called sissy, a woman, pre-op, post-op, non-op. Uh, I didn't just experience this from every angle, except probably, you know, making children. But I done been a mama, and I mean, I took it seriously. It wasn't just no having my last name and playing house. Like, we literally have been a family for years, over 20 something years. Baby, my children been in my life longer than some of you biological mothers have had children. It's not for play. And what I experienced with Tami, when Tami said what she said, it didn't offend me. Like just seeing people so offended. I think what we have going on now is a lot of misplaced anger. Like, she said that when she had the first relationship, when her daughter had the first relationship, she accepted it. She had them at, the dinners, was inviting them over to the house, taking pictures with them. And so then when the daughter rotated, which she should have the right to do that. She should have the right to switch partners. She should have the right to figure things out. But it takes time for people to get there. And so Tammy said, I don't want to share this moment with no random girl who not gonna be here. And from what I understand, the girl's not there. So and Tammy said, if it was more important to bring her, then bring her. I'll sit this one out. So I'm just not understanding, because it's clear that she taking care of her. Like, people was like, they had to figure that out. Like, I could tell by the way Tammy was saying things with her whole chest that she was taking care of her daughter, that she was footing the bill. So I did not see a problem with setting a boundary, saying, hey, look, um, I respect who you are, but this is a lot for me, and I don't know how comfortable I'm gonna be at your thing with your new girlfriend coming in. We don't know how long she gonna be here. I mean, you would hope that she would set the same boundaries with her heterosexual child, but we do understand how people are brought up. We do understand how people are raised, and like, you go on Tammy Page and tell she's super Christian. So I don't know why y'all butt hurt and so surprised, at her doing some stuff like that. I get that you expect more growth from her and that you want more growth from her, but if we're being realistic, it takes courage to be transparent about your biases and about the things that you still working on, and the thing, it takes courage to do that. And every time somebody try to be honest about who they are and where they are mentally, y'all are so vicious. How are we gonna shift a society when every time somebody share where they at, y'all dogpile them? Another thing with this Mama D situation, while I'm on this, Mama D said she wanted her son to chase coochie and not wear purses. And a lot of gay men in particularly, y'all really got a lot of, not all of y'all, but a lot of y'all really got some mommy issues. And I think a lot of y'all really saw the power in your mothers, so much so that you forget that this is a patriarchal society. So much so that you forget that a lot of these women were groomed as well. Mama D was groomed to see the world like that. You forget Mama D was groomed. Like it it's a fickle situation because you see that a lot of gay men see the power of black women, but you're not realizing that they are groomed as well. Okay? Men who were in positions of power in the hood, in the streets, were not openly gay. Okay? So, this is, in her mind, how she's protecting him by turning him into a wolf. You have to understand the psychology. Because back in those days, we thought that if you was gay, because of the way the narrative was painted around femininity, we thought you was a sugar plum fairy. Although black women were not entitled to the same treatment that white women was tied to, because a lot of black women was often sometimes maids and custodians and essential workers helping keeping white folks stuff clean, the narrative was still the same for all women in mainstream culture. Docile, demure, helpless, barefoot and pregnant, vulnerable, needed to be kept and taken care of, emotional, incapable of leading. So black women had that narrative thrown on them just by default. Because the whole perception of femininity was tied to womanhood. This is why the division happened in the gay community. This is why gay men did a coup in the community and separated themselves from the trans femmes, the non-binaries, and the androgynous so long ago. So y'all were no better. Let's be clear. This is why y'all started having the no fats, no femmes parties. And this is why y'all started gathering at secret sex parties. And y'all started trying to figure out how to distance yourself from the trans community before we had labels and titles, from the males who could not deny their mothers, from the males who could not deny their femininity. So while y'all pointing the finger, make sure you point them, remember them three that's pointing back at you. Because y'all were no better as a result of how y'all were raised and how y'all were taught to see yourselves. Y'all started distancing yourself from your own, from facets of your community that were feminine and showed up visibly feminine and could not deny their connection and could not perform masculinity. So while you out here pointing your fingers every time Dr. Heavenly or Tami Roman or every time Mama D, every time they say something foolish, because this is a patriarchal society. This is where the wolves thrive. If you think it's soft, if you think it's feminine, this is a femme-phobic society. This is why everybody want to be with a masculine, thugged out top. They don't turn me on at all, by the way. And I laid on the table and got whole cooch. And I like old soft buttercup. Because guess what? They'll surprise you. Long as you ain't no scary buttercup. Long as you ready to... Bitch, you could buttercup, sugar pie, honey bun. Remember that they are a product of, like, this shit bigger than Nino Brown. And the displaced anger has to stop. Send all that to the very top of the food chain. Remember that the divine feminine was removed from our worship. And what was left was a biblical God who was wrathful and asked you to sacrifice your children and punished and allowed the devil to punish his most loyal servants. Fed off of war, destroying cities. A God who subjugated women, passing them around like livestock, cattle, property. So you could kind of understand why a woman might not want her son to be one. You have to understand the psychological psychosis that a lot of that generation is in. And my heart goes out to all of these women who was dancing for these little children, dancing for these little boys and sleeping with these little boys 20, 30 years ago and 40 and 50 years ago. How these women was just sleeping with these little young boys trying to turn them into wolves. My first time being molested was actually by a woman who was 18 and I was 5, and she was on the spectrum, and I can imagine how many times that had been done to her. So that they wouldn't be whole. They was doing witch hunts and killing the women who was honoring the earth and honoring the mother, and they was killing. They was unaliving the queer males who could not hide it. Because they had to make sure that they didn't show up. And then if they let any of them survive, they probably made them completely transition and made them live as women. And that's why we so warped and lopsided today. Because we never let whole beings, the world strategically removed wholeness, beings who entire essence defied the binary. And then sometimes we hear them in plain sight. Lil Richie, Boy George, plain sight. Grace Jones, plain sight. But they identified with the binary. So nobody said nothing. Oh, they gay. Oh, that's a man. But they was hiding in plain sight sometimes. Anyway, like, play the whole tape. That's the point of this video. I love y'all. Lay Lim Nation. Purple ones. Rise.